it is scary when you go through it, especially because, you know, we got a warning for another erroneous strike or, you know, violation back in 2019. And
Right.
because those warnings don't fall off, it's just forever. So if there's ever a little glitch, we get a strike, we can't post for 7 days. And it's like, so I actually
I think
have
it's a
been,
stupid system, but like, was it because you talked about something that you don't usually talk about, or?
no, we think we know what it was.
Oh,
I've talked to another YouTuber who he's a little less well known, but he than the popular ones, not me. I mean, I'm not saying like he's a little
right,
less well known than me. You know, like
right.
he's not a super popular YouTuber, but he actually reached out to me. So I'd done an interview with him before, and he said that he believes he's the YouTube's foremost expert on strikes. He got 23 strikes in one summer and got them all removed,
Jeez.
and he was getting them on purpose. He was split testing to find the
Okay.
thing that caused the strikes. And he knows that they're really not violations. And so
Mhm.
we did one thing different on this live stream. It was a live stream that when he said it, I was like, gosh, sure enough, because I noticed someone actually, uh, one of my editors or one of my people that works with me, they
Mhm.
copied our whole description we put in most videos. But in the live stream, we usually just put a couple sentences. There's something about live streams. They're more strict referral links having to do with crypto. So
Mhm.
because we just have a regular referral links in there, that was the thing that triggered it. It's crazy.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I know those live streams
Yeah.
can be really, really restricted. Like on Instagram, every time I try to go live on Instagram, I end up getting booted because I always got music going on in the background or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, but somewhere in the back offices of Instagram slash Facebook, they're like, someone's gonna pirate his live video. And I'm just like, no, they're not. It's so stupid how
These
these
people, man.
algos work or whatever they're doing. I like to
Well, this
imagine
is
it's just, yeah, I like to imagine it's just someone sitting back there just watching
no,
all these videos, but it's not.
here's the thing. This is what his name's Tom Crown.
Mhm.
This is what he told me, and it makes perfect sense because the frustrating thing is not knowing what it is. Because if it is something that's like maybe all of a sudden there's one thing you've been doing every day, and from now on that thing gets punished, you have no idea what that thing is.
Mhm.
That's really scary, you know? And so the frustrating thing is not knowing what it is and then feeling like they won't tell you. Like, why will you not just tell me what I did? It's because they don't know. No human at YouTube knows why the AI flagged you.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
all built into the algorithm. That's why the appeals get instantly rejected. If you just appeal through YouTube,
Mhm.
it's an automated response almost. It waits about 2 minutes to send it to you, sometimes a little bit more. But all it's doing is just taking that AI or the AI itself is going back onto your video.
That's
It doesn't matter
scary.
your explanation. If it's still there, whatever that thing that triggered it was, which it will be, and even if you go and you change like the description in the middle, that doesn't work either because it still goes to the original because it was like a really bad violation. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, if somebody showed themselves like, you know, killing somebody on YouTube, like just because they went and edited that video real quick doesn't mean that wasn't, you know, all of a sudden that should just go away. But, you know, so if you take something out of the description, it doesn't matter, change the title, it doesn't matter. And nobody can tell you. All they have is the AI breaks it down into different categories. And if it's in that category, then there it is, you know? And so you have to have someone at YouTube eventually, and thank God for having a large social media followings that helped. And then in addition to that, finding a new way to contact YouTube where I can actually get a person. Those two things we think are what were, you know, we were able to get it removed. So then that
That's
person
so
sits down and they watch
scary
it
though.
and they're like, yeah,
It's
ain't nothing wrong with this video, you know?
like, I mean, that's just so blurry, like the lines for that. Like, because if they decide that, they could use that as for reasons for censorship, just blame it on the AI, they aren't giving you specific reasons for what you're doing wrong or anybody. Like, I've never gotten a real specific reason on anything I've done wrong when I get something taken down. The only thing they really notify me on is like with music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, they don't tell you specifically. I don't get like a detailed outline or a human reading this
Um,
stuff. It's kind of scary because you just don't know like if they're targeting via censorship, or if the AI is really running
Mhm.
everything, which I think is what's going on, and it's a little messed up.
I just that's what see, I even wonder if the person who I was talking to last night was actually an AI, you know?
It
Like
could be.
didn't have them on the phone. They don't have a phone number. It's a chat. It's set up. They have a name. They respond. But I could even see how the response it definitely you think you're talking to a person, you know?
Mhm.
But I tell you one thing that I thought was pretty interesting was it did seem like there was a set time that if I didn't respond, it would say, "You there?" question mark.
Mhm.
Did that twice because I was typing a long message. Well, if I'm typing a message, if it's a person looking at it, they should be able to see the dots, right? But actually, the real truth is that I had a live chat one time for a website I had,
Mhm.
and the people wouldn't know it, but I could actually see their letters as they were typing. So they'd type out a message like, "No, I don't like that." They'd erase that and then type something new. Like I could see all that, and so I bet they can see that too. And so that's the thing that doesn't seem to make sense. But
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's a real person.
Yeah,
I
all
don't
these
know.
AIs, I mean, they're built on the backbone of if this, then that, if this, then
Uh
that, if
huh.
this, then that. But I mean, it's like it's getting so complicated because like I've even noticed stuff like that with Siri um and Google Assistant, which I have on my phone still.
Yeah.
And then they got like Bixby and then Microsoft Cortana's built into one of my laptops. And every time I talk to them, they seem to get like really natural with their conversations. Like
Mm.
every time I try it, every time I try it again, it just gets better and better and better. And yeah, and then I run in those situations where I'm thinking about what I want to say, like, Yuri, where do I hide the dead body or something like that? And then she'll be asking like, hey, where'd you go? Did you have a follow-up question, or are you okay? You- you're not talking. Like,
Is everyone in the home all right?
yes, it's getting really weird.
Well, I've been concerned about this for a long time. Very the I always go back to I loved that movie with Will Smith, I Robot.
Oh, I love
You ever
iRobot.
seen that
Yeah,
one?
that's a classic. That's a good one. I I don't think that's
Isn't
the.
it interesting that
Mhm. Go
it,
ahead.
it's interesting that that move like that Roombas now are called the company that makes those now are called iRobot.
I know.
A little weird, but I love that movie because the idea of the scariest thing about when people talk about robots taking over something, you know, you always think like it's some kind of hostile, blah blah blah. But that
Mhm.
movie laid out like a pretty kind of realistic scenario where the AI set like understands outcomes, and they understand the AI understands like if you continue down this path, this is what will happen. We cannot allow that to happen because that would, you know, be bad for us or be bad for the AI, be bad for whoever. And so rules were put in place and things happen in order for, you know, the robots to basically put mankind under martial law to protect them. You know,
Yeah,
and it's like
AI is a scary thing, but I'm not
we keep just
as
running,
worried.
we just keep running towards all this craziness. Like we've seen the movies.
I know, but
We
I
know
mean,
what happens.
speaking of the robot, like the iRobot, you know, the little Roomba in the house, I have one.
Uh,
You know, what's scary is the idea of having robots in your house. Like I remember watching that as a kid, and I was like, I wonder if we're
yeah.
gonna have robots in the house. And
Like the
now we do.
Jetsons.
Yeah, like the Jetsons and all that, and like we do have
Yeah.
robots in the house, and I can
Yeah.
control those robots with the Internet of Things, with Siri or Google Home or with my phone or my iPad. Like everything's connected. So what
Yeah.
happens when AI gets a hold of that and decides that we're all not needed anymore? It's
Yeah.
gonna start vacuuming all of my house, and my car is gonna automatically start starting, and just weird things are gonna start happening, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's scary stuff, man. I hope we don't get taken over by robots in my lifetime or my kids. Their
I
kids I don't know yet. So
I hopefully we don't get to that point, but you know,
yeah.
it's a reality. It's just it's hard to know, like if you have like a supercomputer, and you know, if we get quantum computing anytime soon, everyone's debating that, and then you know
Yeah.
whether an AI can be ran on top of that. Like how much is it going to analyze how much it needs us around? Is it going to analyze it to the point where it decides that it does need us for survival, or that it doesn't need us for survival? Like I always think about that process, like its thinking process at that point. Like what would it actually decide? And I don't think it's something we can ever really figure out. I think we're just gonna witness it when it happens if we keep developing
Yeah.
AI. Did you ever hear about those two AIs that Facebook had, the chat bots, and they started developing their own language?
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
that was a sweet
And they had there was another one, another set of robots that I think it was also Google. Yeah, it was Google for sure. It was part of their mapping for Google Maps. And they had been giving the AI, feeding it information so that they, know where to go on the map and pull information from and pull it back. So like, let's say that we wanted the map to, I'm in Atlanta. Let's say we want the map to map out Manitoba, Canada. Okay.
Right.
It would go straight there. It would get the information and then it will come back. But the AI learned, they're like, wait a second. If I go up to Manitoba, going over a lot of miles there in the middle, I can actually take some internal notes about the topography of whatever that land in the middle is. That way, when I have to go back there, because I think I'm going to go everywhere, I'll already have data on that and I can do my job quicker. And they started noticing it was going faster and faster and faster, but like it was hiding that information. It was taking it and it was, this is so crazy. It was taking the data and converting it into pixels that were just a hair, like in the RGB, everything's like like a hex color or whatever, like, color B4821. It was just one shade off. And they were able to hide all that data and pull it right back out when they came. And I was like, that's so weird.
It is. There's actually like a generator through, and I think it's NVIDIA. They have this like simulation where you can literally draw like whatever environment and it'll find that environment, that geographical location for you and pull it up as a photo. They got some crazy stuff out there. Man. Crazy stuff.
Well, getting crazier. And we're playing a role in it. Isn't that exciting?
We are. I mean, the other side of that, actually. So we're all scared of the centralized, technologies out there. We're in the decentralized ones. That's the exciting part. See how everything kind of divides a bit.
We're having bad internet problems today.
Everyone's having bad internet issues. I'm telling you, the AI overheard a conversation.
Fiber put in is a slow process. What's that?
I was saying the AI heard our conversation. They were shutting us down.
Interesting. That may be happening. The point is, we're getting internet cables replaced out today, but I tethered to my phone. I think this will be good.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. It's been dropping out on everybody lately. For some reason, everyone's having that problem. Yeah. Just another problem with 2020, man. It's been a messed up year.
Yeah.
Has that set you back at all, or have you been able to just kind of keep cruising on with?
It's been the greatest year of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, feel kind of guilty saying that, like everybody else is like, a lot of people are having like a lot of problems, but I mean, it's just the timing for the 2.5 years where I built and nothing happened. And then it was just at the point where things finally took off and it, just happened to coincide with all the money printing and, being at home, watching content and all that stuff. So, it just turned out to be good timing for me, but I mean, I feel like I'm not supposed to say that.
I think there's a norm to say that you're struggling. Everyone, you just make sure that everyone knows everyone's struggling, but it's not true. A lot of people, especially in the crypto space, there's been so much development this year because people have had to stay home and work and develop, and they've been more productive, especially if you're in this space. So I think it really depends on who. The average family, obviously, man or woman going to work every day and coming back can't do that. But if you live in the digital era, you're working online all the time, it's totally fine. Zoom had a really good year. Netflix had a really good year. A lot of these streaming services.
Speeding up all of this, like all of this stuff was inevitable, mass working from home and all this stuff
in there. But I mean, I'm sure most people already know who you are, but for those that, are learning about crypto still that don't really know, who you are yet. Can you give me like a little bit of backgrounds on how you got into becoming, you know, BitBoy Crypto and started your YouTube channel or whatever's relevant to that?
Yeah. So I got into Bitcoin back in 2012. It was for a business transaction, not involving Silk Road or the dark web. It's for a software is what the guy took at the time. And so I had to learn about it. But I was only learning how to use it. I wasn't learning like the basics of it, like the basis of why we need another currency. You know, all I knew was I need to send it to a guy, whatever, I'll go buy it. So bought it, sent it. I sent a lot of money to him over that year, what Bitcoin was, you know, supposed to be for in the beginning, electronic currency. And then one day it just shot way up. And I was like, what in the world is this? And I sold it all for thousands of dollars, which would be worth millions of dollars now. Well, we're almost back at 20K. So, I mean, it'd be worth 8 digits, not 7. So what I sold over that year, the amount that I gave to that guy, and then the amount I sold it for. So I got really kind of interested in following the price. But then when the Mt. Gox thing happened, I thought crypto was pretty much over. I was like, oh, that's the last straw there. And because I still wasn't like in the community or anything, I was just kind of watching the price on Coinbase. I think I was on Coinbase in 2014, but in 2015, I definitely was. And so I do check the price sometimes and just wasn't really that excited about it. I thought it was over. And then all of a sudden one day it like went up and then went back down. And then 2017 happened. And I'm counting the money I should have had that I didn't have because I sold it. And I was like, man, I really made a big mistake. So I decided to get much more involved. And I had this idea to make a comic, a superhero, BitBoy. And he's got a turtle sidekick, Hodl. So that's what the channel started as.
Oh, shit.
Animation was very poor. It wasn't very good. But what we were finding is, well, it was just me back then. What I was finding is it was taking too much work for like no views because the bear market had just started. People weren't interested in funny stuff or interesting stuff. They were just interested in wanting to know if they were going to get their money back. And so I decided to start making news videos every day and been doing it ever since. A lot of grinding, a lot of work seemingly for nothing. And then this year I found the secret formula, it seems like. And now the validation of all those years where I thought I was, putting out good content, the production value wasn't great, but I thought the value of what I was saying was. And so finally, having all that recognized and then continuing to improve that is what we focus on here. So
I think it's just time. I think with all of these, if you want to be like an influencer in the space, or you have good ideas, or you're doing a show, or you're doing a podcast, you're putting info out there, it just takes time. I don't know why. It's like, I think the algorithm just kicks in one day and then boosts you. And then all of a sudden you get in front of a bunch of people. I don't know what it is, but that's really
so it's pretty interesting. There's a chart that I found that shows the average number of videos that it takes someone to get to 100,000 and then to 1 million. And it's a lot. And the funny thing is I make more videos than probably anyone. I mean, there might be some guy out there that makes 1 minute, little phone videos and puts out a bunch in a day or something. I know that a channel, Decentralized TV, used to put out 10 or 11 videos a day sometimes in the bull market, but we put out at this point, I think more than anybody, 2 highly professional, highly produced videos every day. And then we also sometimes now are doing a 3rd video. And because of everything that happened on YouTube with the strike and stuff like that, we got removed. I had another channel that had 60,000 subscribers. I've changed that over into a Bit Squad channel. So we do more personal videos and stuff behind the scenes. So we're putting out so many videos is the point.
Right.
I'm right on track with what YouTube says. You got to make 1,000 videos to get to 100,000 subscribers. People in crypto are not used to that because competition was so small. I have on my account almost 1,500 videos, and so all those years where I felt like it wasn't really working, the truth is it's that experience of doing that many, you finally figured out. I mean, it's just like, the old thing where they say like 10,000 hours of anything makes you an expert.
Mhm.
It's always adding up the hours of that I've put into this, and it's not close to 10,000,
Right.
but it's a lot. Like it's probably somewhere between 4 and 5,000. So, it's pretty interesting when you really start to think about how just doing things over and over and then failing at it over and over,
Right.
it really leads to success.
I think there's like the algo has like a percentile that you have to reach probably in terms of videos because it probably takes all the average users out there
That
and
could be, yeah.
subscribers and is like, okay, well, maybe they produce, on average 10 videos or 100 videos or whatever it is. But if you hit a certain mark and then it probably takes you more seriously. That's just my
Yeah.
guess.
Well, if you make 2,000 bad videos, you will still not do well. There has to be improvement in the videos, and then I think the improvement in the videos combined with, I'm sure there is some longevity and tenure type,
Right.
factors in the AI and the algorithms.
Yeah, there's probably like length of videos, like quality of video, is there improvement in the videos over time? Is it the same thing? Like, is it redundant? So yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah.
But no, it's really cool that, it took off for you and everything. And it's cool that, this was like a comic book like type of idea. Like, have you thought of doing anything else with BitBoy or other than, the YouTube channel and like maybe going back to like the original idea?
We are. Yeah, we have
Oh,
been.
you are?
That's what's cool. We actually,
Sweet.
so on Rarible is an NFT marketplace. That's where we started putting out stuff, and
Mhm.
it sold really well. We weren't expecting it to sell as well as it did. Now things have slowed down across NFTs in general. So we're not selling as much now as we did, in the beginning when it was like right at the peak of the NFT craze. But the thing is that we have characters, so we put out trading cards of the characters. We're building the first NFT comic book, so it's like each page is its own NFT, and you collect all the pages, and we're going to send you a physical copy. So we got that going on, and we're still trying to get plans for a cartoon together at some point. That might be like peak Bull Run Dumb Money type stuff.
Mhm.
Animation's super expensive, and the return on it probably won't be super great. But I personally, for me, there is definitely a lot of motivation to want to fulfill the original dream of what started this
Mhm.
channel, or the original idea, or however you want to say it. And I think there's a lot to that. So yeah, so we've got characters. We're actually, here's another thing we're doing is we are partnering with Wax to make a deck builder card game with the characters as well. So that'll be coming out the end of March, I believe.
Nice. Now you got a lot of
So
stuff
cool.
going on. I think there's a lot of production value type stuff you can do in crypto. I think it might be more successful than you'd think, just because there's been like what 1, 2 crypto movies that have come out,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of other stuff that's slated. I think, Ben Mesrich, the guy that did the book
I
Bitcoin
love him.
Billionaires, he did
Yeah.
the one that they made the movie Social Network on, right?
Mhm.
Before that, they're
That's
talking
that's
about.
when we thought the Winklevoss twins were the bad guys.
Yes, but now they're the good guys,
Yeah, of
and
course.
Zuckerberg's bad guy.
100%.
um, but yeah, I think they're going to make a movie out of that. There's some stuff being slated, and I don't know. Crypto's so many people want to watch like a movie on crypto.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much
Yeah.
interest out there. I bet a cartoon would do pretty good.
Yeah,
I think it'd be
I hope so. I mean, I think it will eventually. So we're trying to just kind of build. It all kind of stayed in an idea phase for so long. Like we had the ideas, and we were more thinking like, how can we just make some cool characters and kind of build stories around it and stuff. But doing the game and the comic and the collector's cards, like it's really made us have to flex and stretch our imaginations for this world. And we came up with some really cool stuff, we think. So we've got, we're still developing like relationships between characters and timelines and locations and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But we want it to be where it's like people in crypto get it, but also like a kid could watch it and be like, oh, that's cool. Like I know there's a lot of cartoons out there, and it's popular to do the adult cartoons with all this stuff, but
Mhm.
we do everything family friendly. So
So less like Rick and Morty and
Yeah.
more like SpongeBob.
It's funny because I would have said in the beginning, probably, that was kind of the direction we were thinking. SpongeBob's a little dirty though. Okay. I'm going to be honest
Okay.
with you.
Okay. Yes. I mean, if you're older, you pick up on it.
Yeah. Okay. More like maybe the animated Batman series from the 90s. That's just the first one that came to my mind. I haven't watched cartoons since then, really. So, but yeah, so we think we want to go like superhero, like the X-Men cartoons or the Spider-Man cartoons.
You should go like the Justice League route. Remember like the old Justice League cartoon, like on Cartoon Network? That one was awesome.
I love that.
That'd be a sweet route to go.
Yeah. So that's kind of the direction that we want to go in and think it'll be pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, it'd be cool to see a bunch of that stuff. Where are those NFTs at, you said? Or
Rarible. Rarible, and then just search BitBoy, and then you should be able to find it.
I got to grab myself one. Ever since NFTs became a really big thing, I've been just grabbing at least one of everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've had some good experiences with them, and it's just such a weird niche market, especially with like the virtual land, because I've bought so much of that, and I'm just surprised how much some of them have actually flipped in price. So you have no idea what these things will be used for in the future, even if they are just collectibles. So might as well buy whatever you can.
Well, more of what we're doing. We're doing so much. Like all of this is just small fractions of the things we're working on. But we actually do plan to have utility for our cards and stuff because, we're working with Sandbox on the game, the Sand game. And it's going to, it's kind of an open world. You can buy real estate on it. And then it's also going to have like it's going to be a world for gaming. And we're going to have utility for our cards where like they're going to help you to unlock certain events or like you can only get into one room. So our sand plot is large, and we're going to be building where BitBoy lives, which is called Digital City. We're going to be building that city inside of the game. And so there's going to be like different places you can go. You can only go in this one if you have, these 3 NFTs or whatever. So I think the key to utility or the key to adoption for these NFTs for the long term into what's really giving them value is the double, like the collector's aspect of it because of the rarity and the scarcity, and then like actually helps you to do something.
Yeah, the utility. You should like get a parcel in CryptoVoxels or in Decentraland and advertise it that way too. So many people are walking around that stuff now. It's awesome.
Really? I didn't know.
Oh yeah, especially CryptoVoxels. I've been doing that for like almost 2 years now. I've actually been in that project a long time. I know Ben Nolan really good. Everyone in the space is named Ben. I swear. But yeah, I love the decentralized like parcels and properties you can buy, because I'm just waiting to be able to dive in VR and have my CryptoVoxel house paid for with crypto and or my store. It's so many creative things you can do.
It goes back to the futuristic world we're going to, like there's parts of it that are very scary and there's parts of it that sound pretty cool, Ready Player One had a lot of like bad implications. I just saw the movie. I know a lot of people more nerdy than me read the book, and the movie wasn't like the book,
The movie was really cool. The all haptic suit, the Tesla suit, I had their CEO on the podcast
did you?
About a year ago. Yeah, they talked all about it. They were developing the suit. It wasn't really for VR at the time, but they were developing it for, firefighters, police officers, military, astronauts, so they can simulate different environments. Like if you're a firefighter running to a building, you can simulate the heat around your body, better train, professionals out in the field. And then Warner Brothers picked up on it and they wanted to apply the VR aspect to it. So now they kind of got this VR gaming audience also interested in it because of the suit. It's super cool though. Like really cool how quickly we're getting there.
Yeah, no, it's like futuristic movies are like almost always a prediction of the future. that comes true, because like
Right.
if the human mind can conceive it, then we can probably build it. I mean, maybe with the exception of time travel, maybe. I mean, who knows? I
Right.
don't think time travel is possible, but uh,
I mean,
certainly people will try for a long time.
theoretically it's argued, but who knows in the future? Do you have
So outside of that, like
right.
I go back to this movie Demolition Man in the 90s. I mean, it was really there was a scene where this woman shows up like just getting out of the shower on a video chat
Mm-hmm.
to someone broken into her house or into his house. And, I mean, obviously the whole point of the scene in the movie was to show some nudity. So it happens. And I just remember like watching it. Of course, my dad told me to cover my eyes. Okay. So everybody knows I was young. I was like 12.
Gotcha.
And and I saw that and I thought to myself, that's interesting to think that maybe one day we could do video chatting like that. Because you just got the phone, you got the plug in back then, and it was like one of these things like, oh man, way in the future. And it's like, we don't pass that a long time ago. It don't even seem like a big deal anymore, And I often think about how I thought that was so futuristic and so far down the road. And, how would that even work? How is that possible? I mean, that was before the internet was really even a thing, or around the time of being popular in the mid 90s. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Do you have a favorite futuristic movie?
I hope I have a future.
I hope we all do. But do you have like a favorite futuristic movie?
Yeah. Well, iRobot is one I really, really like. It is not too futuristic from here. But I mean, I'm a big fan of The Matrix. I love The Matrix. I think, that's kind of the doomsday scary scenario that like we're all scared of, like the scary, what's even scary is are we already in it, and to be able to conceptualize and visualize like that could be happening and we wouldn't really know the difference. Like that's kind of scary, but I think all of these movies should be taken as warnings. And what's so crazy to me is they just don't seem to be. Like be careful with this technology, like it could be your downfall. So
yeah, they're also fear-based. It's hard to find that right balance. When telephone poles went up, almost 100 years ago at this point, people thought everyone was going to burn or get electrocuted or everything was going to catch on fire. And they even had cartoons depicting that, like how dangerous this is going to be. And then we get to it today and we forget they're even there half the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some irrational fears with technology, but at the same time, there's some legitimate ones. I think AI is one of the more legitimate ones.
That's the thing we fight in crypto. We fight that idea of like, people are just irrationally scared of cryptocurrency. So yeah, I understand that completely. They thought the same thing about cars and, even horses and buggies when buggies first came. So yeah, I get it.
And
but the AI and the MIT robots, they do seem to be pretty scary.
Yeah, well, those ones are easy to depict in a movie and make look scary, like Terminator and stuff like that. Now we're all terrified of it.
Yeah, well, that MIT robot does look like something that will destroy you. Like it does. A telephone pole, like, okay, it's up there, like I could fall over or whatever. But I just watched a robot lift up what looked to be a paw, take a lockpick out of it and stick it in a door that was locked and open it and go behind the door. That's scary.
That is scary.
That's what you see in movies, like as long as we're here, we can hide and be safe behind this locked door. The zombies or the robots can't get us, but tell you what, it's scary.
Yeah, I almost feel like you need to do a whole episode just on AI and robots.
Yeah, for sure.
So much material there. I wonder if there's any like correlation between robots and crypto in the future. It's always like kind of crossed my mind because those two seem to really be developing really quickly. Like what if a robot had the ability to have its own wallet its own sovereign value and go to the store and buy some oil for it and go home and bathe in the oil. Like, I almost feel like we're getting to the point where we're really going to get replaced. Fiat's going to get replaced pretty soon. We'll get replaced. Just getting scary. Technology is just replacing our jobs and all disappearing, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why a lot of stuff we're focused on is, you know, futuristic kind of, you know, we're basing a lot of what we're doing on what we know is actually coming and what's actually happened or happening, as opposed to focusing on what's here right now, because, you know, future's coming extremely quick. And a lot of the reason why we are very interested in building on sand and very interested in unlockable utility for NFTs and stuff is because of like what Andrew Yang says, which I don't agree with him on basically anything other than his stance on cryptocurrency. But, you know, well, other than cryptocurrency and his stance on what the future looks like for people with jobs, you know, do we need to be giving universal basic income to people? Probably not. But is there a huge amount of jobs that are around today that will not be around in the future? Absolutely. Like you take truck drivers, for instance, like that's going to be one of the first industries. Like as soon as those trucks can drive themselves, they don't need you for nothing, you know? And I can see in that happening in single digit years, you know, like moving very quickly, because the future keeps coming exponentially faster. So maybe 20 years, maybe 9 years, you know, somewhere around there, places are going to have their own highways just for these self-driving semi-trucks, you know, because you're not going to want, people are going to be very apprehensive to have trucks with 16 wheels.
We'll just have more developers and we'll probably just, you know, populate a little bit less going into the future. I mean, technology is an adaptable thing. I mean, that's people get irrationally scared sometimes. So like the car replaced the horse and buggy, but I mean, they adapted and then became taxi drivers. So
no. And I understand that, but we're coming to a place where technology can do the work of X number of people. Okay. So this is actually where I was getting to with the truck driver stuff. You say, oh, well, we'll need people to do this and people to do this and people to do this, people to do this. It's not as many people as it takes to drive the trucks. You know, that's the point. There will not be, if you have one person whose job is to manage 10 truck routes of the auto driving, then that's great, but it's one person, you know, doing the work that 10 people previously were doing, or maybe even more than that, because there was probably someone that was directing the routes. There's a person already. So why we're so focused on the gaming aspect is because I believe, and I've said this for at least the last 2 years, is that a lot of our economy in the future, the world economy, is not just going to be online, is going to be in gaming. Almost everybody in the world is a gamer. Like more than half of the world are considered a gamer. I'm not, okay, but a lot of people are, and my kids are for sure. You know, and I don't know, they're trying to make me a gamer in here, at least so I can stop saying things like I'm not a gamer. But the point is that when you saw Ready Player One and you see the idea that there's value inside of these ecosystems, like we have to have things of value that we can earn in order to make economies work, right? You can't just give people, you know, money and that makes an economy work. That, you know, that deletes incentive for anyone to do anything. The video games, the NFTs, the value in these scarce items, I think there's a lot of that will actually be part of the world economy in the future. I mean, there's no way that this metaverse is not happening. It just matters, is it happening by the time we're dead, or is it happening after that, you know, or is it happening way before that? Possibly. That's why I really think that's kind of a futuristic move to really be getting involved in the stuff. Like, you know, that's not scary. I mean, the idea that robots are taking jobs, like, and then there's another way to find value within, you know, things that you can earn inside different kinds of ecosystems. I mean, it's really crazy, the common person that's not involved in all this to talk to right now, but for people in crypto and technology, you can understand that. So I just think that it just means we're moving somewhere different, you know, because really AI and robots can take over I try to come up with the jobs they can't take over, like counselor, pastor.
They could be a pastor. They'd know the Bible inside and out, their own illustrative interpretations. I don't know. I wouldn't challenge a robot or AI on that.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Maybe doctors, maybe people will always be scared to have just robots operating them. I don't know. But most jobs, you can come up with a scenario where it can be replaced. And there's not enough need. And even the developers and stuff like that, eventually AI is going to be the developers. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think it's smart now to start shifting towards, not pushing kids towards college to become some job that will be obsolete in 10 or 15 years.
I say this all the time because I understand the concern with gaming and kids getting sucked into it, but they're on to something. And I think most people are missing that, and that it's a different world. And as VR becomes more realistic and we start spending more time there, we're going to have our economy become much more massive. The comparison I like to make is it's no different than if we went to Mars and we established a colony and an economy there that was linked to the world economy on Earth. And now we have this super massive economy between two planets. It's no different than if you built that in VR, because it's a place you're going to, that you're building things and doing things. Except VR, you can be even more creative. You're not limited. It's limitless. So I think when people are playing games and, they're getting into crypto and this stuff, and with the advent of VR, I think, there's going to be a massive economy in virtual reality. And even today on the Oculus, I'll go in there and have conversations in chat rooms and whatnot, or join in on some little conferences and stuff, even crypto ones. And it feels like I'm actually there having a conversation. Like I can see where it's going. You've tried VR, right?
I have not actually, believe it or not.
No,
I did.
Oh,
no, I haven't. I don't have an Oculus.
You gotta try.
I don't know. I like to think like, I like to keep it real. You know what I mean? I like to keep it real reality. Okay.
What is reality?
But I mean, I'm not opposed to try. I just not interested to buy one. And I've never been somewhere where someone was like, here, try this on. And then I tried it on and be like, oh, this is really cool. We've all seen the video where the girl tried it on in Best Buy and fell backwards. Okay. I'd be scared. Okay. No.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
I recommend trying it at some point.
Yeah. Well, it's just one of these things. Like, I'm certainly open to it. Just the stuff is not lined up for me to be in a place where it was.
Trust me, if you put on the Oculus Quest for like 5 minutes, and you'll just be astounded how realistic it is, and then take it off after that, because it gives me a headache. It hurts my head a little bit. It's a little scary, a little too much, blue light flashing everywhere. But it's very, very interesting how fast Facebook was able to do this, because just a couple of years prior to that, everything was done with cords. You have to have this super expensive computer. Now it's like $300-400 and you're in a different world. So in a couple of years later, a couple of years from now, I'm scared how far it'll actually progress. But I know that that's, as a reality, as an economy, it's coming. It's coming. Just like with crypto.
Yeah.
Just like with crypto. So I guess we should transition a little bit to crypto. But what's your take on this market? Like, it's been crazy. I mean, obviously there's some reasons why it's done so well this year. And obviously we've had the pandemic and craziness of 2020, and basically as close as we can get to the world ending and having the apocalypse. But it's doing really well right now. Like, from what perspective are you seeing that's going on with this market?
So, I mean, in the long term, I mean, I just think that Bitcoin itself, I mean, all of these other coins are great. Like, I love altcoins. I love them because they make me money. And I think there's a lot of interesting utility for some of them, but none of that really matters right now. Like, they're not being used for the utility, except for a very few amount of them, a sliver, if you will. Love Ethereum, love what they're doing. I think Ethereum has opportunity to be bigger than Bitcoin one day. But the point is, the whole market is dependent upon Bitcoin. And a lot of people seem to get it in their head. And I was talking about this this morning with someone. A lot of people have it in their head that like it's this fundamental news thing, like what's happening in crypto, like this event happened and then this happened. And there's a little correlation there. There is. Those are catalyst events. Okay. These catalyst events are really tied to the economics of Bitcoin. So it's really the supply and demand functions with the halving and the decreasing of production. And this, when you tell people that there will only be 21 million ever, and then you explain to someone that, well, right now there's 18.5 million, they're like, oh, cool. So all 21 million be out like 2 years from now. Like, no, like the halving is so crazy. And I've actually done nobody has talked about this, I think, that I've ever seen other than me, which is the last halving cycle. It should be approximately between 2136 and 2140. During that last entire cycle, only one half of a Bitcoin will be mined over 4 years. And then they'll all be done. And they'll just be, driven by transaction cost, or, transactions and that stuff. But like, it's crazy to think about how dramatic that drop is from, mining thousands a day with just a small computer to, in the end, you'll have all these people with these mega computers trying to mine Bitcoin, and the total is a half for 4 years, So those are the things. That's why those halving cycles are so important. Once it's adopted, and look, here's Bitcoin is adopted right now. Not in like a sense of everyone uses it, but it is past the point of, is it gonna make it? Right. The institutions are backing that up with their dollars and things like that. So, because of that, I believe that we're going to continue to see the same thing that we've always seen before with these Bitcoin cycles, and that these minor narratives of, the government doing this or this company buying this, like these are just tiny little catalyst events that help propel Bitcoin to where it was already going anyways, if that makes sense. So I think the market is going to be great. I think that, anytime right now there seems to be some fear because Bitcoin dropped below 18,000 and now people are saying 16,000 and all this stuff. And I think that, yeah, it could, it might, but it should be quick. It's going ultimately above six figures. I don't see any way it's not in the next year.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it from like an analysis point of view and you look at the charts, this on a long-term trajectory, like if we just look at for this year, for example, with Bitcoin, who cares if it drops to 18 or 17 or held back to 15? It's in a really strong upward trend. I'm pretty confident it's going to keep moving that direction, because there's been no real sign it's slowing down. In fact, people are buying more, like hundreds of millions of dollars more. So I don't care if it drops to 18 or 17 today. I mean, Bitcoin swings a couple $1,000s at a time sometimes. Yeah. It's the most important correlation, not even a correlation, discorrelation, what's the word? Dislocation. Decoupling is watching Bitcoin become the best performing asset of the past decade, even beating things like gold, as traditional hard assets, where people store their value, and then looking at the fact that it's on track to be the best performing asset of the next decade. I think that's more than enough to qualify it and verify it as an asset. And I can see all these institutions and corporations and SMEs, looking at Bitcoin and now looking at crypto, more broadly, and seeing that it's, fairly legitimized at this point. And I don't see any downside at the moment. I know that we'll have a lot of corrections, and I know that it's going to go through all kinds of different, market cycles. But I mean, right now, when people say that it drops to 18 or 17, they start panicking. I'm like, dude, calm down.
I know it's so crazy. I mean, look, I'm a YouTuber. YouTube is driven by clickbait, so I'm going to clickbait just like everybody else does.
Sure.
Except I'm going to do it a little better than they do. But when you actually click on the content and watch the content, then I'm going to give you what I believe are going to be realistic scenarios, and I'm not going to say, one thing one day, and then the next day, like one day Bitcoin's going, to $100,000 tomorrow, and then the next day come back and be like, oh gosh, we're in a bear market, guys. But that's what some people do, and more power to them. Everybody's free to do what they want. But for me, like just thinking that everything's got to be like so dramatic. I've been pretty consistent with things that I've said because of all these reasons I've given you. I believe in the long term of the cycles, and I think that the short term like idea of it dropped 1% today, we're all doomed. Like you got to get out of that mindset. Like that's the mindset. That's the mindset right there is why people say retail traders lose. Like that's it. It's when you're too reactive to the small swings in the market. And I understand like it's hard to be objective when you're talking about money. I'm real bad about that sometimes too when it comes to I'll take a bad loss on a trade and then I'll try to get it back irrationally, right. Because like I just want to make up the loss. Like has nothing to do with I think the market is. I thought I had a good sense of where the market was, so I made a trade, and it's happened to me a lot. And the trade, the market just doesn't do what I expected it to do, and it confirms that it's going the opposite way, and I just keep trying to chase wherever it is and make the money back, and I always will get you in a bad spot because you've lost your objectivity there. I think the important thing is to understand where you believe the market is going and work off of that in the long term. Like if you're in crypto, you believe the price of Bitcoin is going way up. You believe in the scarcity. You believe it's better than gold. You believe all those things. And because of that, you should make moves accordingly. It's why like even in 2017, I said, even the people that bought at $20,000, if they just didn't do anything with it, they eventually would even make money on that. And I think that's going to become true. It's just the whole thing is like you had a lot of people taking loans. If you were taking loans to buy Bitcoin at 20K and it dropped that much, then you're in a real bad spot. But I think that's what everybody should do is really have a plan and stick to it, and don't let the euphoria of the daily clickbait on YouTube or the daily Twitter posts or the CoinDesk stories or whatever it is sway what you think, because ultimately we know where it's going.
Yeah, I think that's where people fall into this trap when they end up trying to recoup their losses, and it's not even that bad, and they probably shouldn't have sold in the first place. But Bitcoin has a bad day, and it looks a little scary, and they're looking at it from a short-term perspective, not a long-term perspective, and they decide to sell out. And then they immediately think, oh, I'm down $100. I need to figure out how to find this bottom. Then they catch a falling knife and now they're down $200, $300. And I see so many people fall into those traps, even in traditional equities. And then they just don't want to do it anymore, and just ruins their outlook on whatever it is, whether it's Bitcoin or Tesla or, anything else that's doing some crazy numbers. And I'm just like, you got to have a set plan going in. Like you got to have a price target, and like you got to determine when you want to sell. You got to have a stop loss, at least mentally, when you want to sell. You got to have a buying point, if you want to be in, because if you want to win the game, you have to be in the game. So there's just so little planning. Most people are just kind of reacting, thinking they're going to make quick money. And I hate seeing that. So I'm glad people are slowly starting to actually invest because they believe in it or they want to use it. I think that's the biggest change since 2017/18 when we had that first run up.
I just talked about that today because
good.
That's what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is the people that are buying Bitcoin right now who were not buying it the last 3 years, people that I know. Mm-hmm. And it's actually the opposite of what you said. It's not that they believe in Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. It's they don't believe in the US dollar.
Yeah, that's
You
true
know,
too.
yeah, they people are starting to see what that is, and we really are in trouble. You know, it really is bad. It's going to get worse. And because of that, you know, I mean, Bitcoin and gold, you know, I'll never fault someone for buying gold over Bitcoin. Like I won't fault them for it. You know, like you're at least doing something to avert crisis for you and your family possibly in the future. You know, whereas,
Mhm.
you know, if you stay too liquid in cash, you know, then, you know, you could end up in a lot of trouble, you know.
Yeah, I think we saw that earlier this year back in late March. People were way too over heavy in cash because they sold everything because of the lockdown and
Yeah.
buying just toilet paper and dollars.
Yeah.
But you know, what we all saw was, you know, what actually did well and immediately it was streaming platforms, gold, Bitcoin, and Tesla.
Yeah.
It's what people really believe in right now.
Just
So
wait till Tesla gets out to Texas. Do a lot
I
better.
can't wait. I can't wait for that Cybertruck. I'm so excited
Yeah.
for that.
Well,
Um,
you saw their movement to Elon Musk's moving to Texas.
Oh yeah.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everyone who owns the stock is going to automatically get more money because everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That's a good punchline. I like it.
Yeah. Just
Or
throws the
maybe
face
he's,
of Elon Musk.
or he's running from the AI in Silicon Valley. I mean,
That's true.
a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've been going for probably an hour at this point, so
Yep.
we'll go ahead and slowly wrap this up. But before we do, obviously you have the YouTube channel. Where else are you on social media, and where can people find you?
Yeah. So we're in a lot of places. Most places, Instagram, Twitter, uh, Facebook, just search BitBoy Crypto and I'll come up. And when it comes to TikTok, that's where actually we have the most followers. We have 2.4 million there at BitBoy underscore, or no, just at BitBoy Crypto there. So, but I'm easy to find on the internet. If you just search BitBoy Crypto anywhere, you should find me.
You're on TikTok?
Yeah, actually, I'm first mover on TikTok. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I started. The thing is, I actually started as doing. It was a different brand there. It was like the CEO of Facts. So I was like giving facts and stories and stuff,
Sure.
and it blew up. I had a lot of viral videos. I mean, one got 30 million views on it. You know, and people like the information, but you know, there's only so much kind of weird and nuanced stuff out there you can tell people. I talked a lot about the dark web, kind of crossovers of crypto, but recently, kind of internally in our organization, we made the decision that it was best for us to change that account over, even though we would lose some people in doing it to crypto, because like it's just hard to run with two
Right.
different messages. So it really came in handy because we had 66,000 subscribers over there on YouTube on our CEO Facts YouTube channel. We had one video that's got like 4 million views on it over there. It's gone now because I deleted everything off that channel because we decided that with all the stuff that happened with YouTube, with the erroneous strike, to make that basically the kind of the backup account for BitBoy Crypto. And so we have that one over there called Bit Squad now. Always the idea with TikTok for me was to Trojan horse people,
Yeah.
trick them into getting into Bitcoin.
Yeah, it works for some people. I mean, shit, people love that stuff though. Love talking about like potential conspiracies and all these interesting things out there that are going on, all the cover-ups and black market, dark net type stuff. I enjoy it too. It's a lot of fun to dive into. I imagine that channel did well.
Yeah, it did really well. The one that had 4 million views, which it was so painful to delete it, but I just deleted it. I just figured, you know what, I'm just gonna, because it was still getting a lot of views every day.
Right.
But it's funny, the amount of advertising dollars you get on a regular channel as opposed to a crypto channel is very drastically lower. So, but the thing is that story is about a guy who went caving. It's a true story. Went caving with his brother, got stuck upside down in a crevice in the cave. It's like 24 hours, people trying to pull him out. And it's like the story it's so dark. He dies. I mean, it's a very dark story. But it's just like, you kind of put yourself in his situation when you're watching it. And it's just like, I don't think I want to go caving, It's one of the most interesting stories about how he got trapped in it, how they tried to get him out. They tried everything. And it was just like the perfect storm of everything. They just couldn't get out. It was very sad.
Jeez. I wonder what was going through his mind at that point. probably had a lot of time to reflect.
You see what I'm saying? Like that, yeah, that really, it puts us into perspective,
Mhm.
you know, like, because his blood is rushing to his head and they can't pull him out. They can't break his leg because he might get sepsis. And I'm thinking, like, who cares if he gets sepsis? He's going to die anyways. Like, let's give it a shot, you know? But they had this pulley system and the pulley system broke. And the point is that don't go caving. That's the story. Spelunking. So every
Yeah,
year
it's
around
dangerous
Thanksgiving,
stuff.
when that happened, my kids remind me we're not going spelunking for Thanksgiving.
Other activities you can do that are much safer and just as fun.
Yes. Yes. Watch football and eat turkey. And
Yes,
buy
I agree.
Bitcoin.
I agree. Anyways, Ben, it was awesome having you on.
Thank you.
Great episode. Great conversation too. Had a lot of fun. We talked about everything, literally
Yeah.
everything.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'll see you next time. See you in the future. Have a good day. Have a good week and stay healthy.
Awesome. Thanks.